everybody, and welcome to the Aardvark Accessibility Podcast. My name is Natalie Garza. I'm one of the co-hosts, and with me today is
Natalie Macleese, the other co-host.
and she is a digital accessibility expert working in this field for 20 plus years. And so she's going to walk us through and answer our questions on today's very important topic: how to incorporate digital accessibility into your offerings as an agency, part 1. So, this episode, we're going to cover why clients should care or will care or already do care. So, starting off, digital accessibility is not optional anymore. Why is that?
I would argue maybe it never was optional, but I think many people felt that way for sure. Around the world, we're starting to see more and more laws that are requiring digital accessibility for websites. In some countries and areas, that's government websites only. In other ones, it also extends to private websites, and just depends exactly where you are. But we are seeing more and more and more of those laws being passed requiring accessibility. And then in the United States, we are seeing more and more lawsuits around accessibility. When somebody tries to come to your website and use it and they are not able to do so, you will get a demand letter and might have a court case, you might have a settlement out of court, but it's going to cost a lot of money. And so that's become a big risk for businesses that they need to be aware of. We also see bigger brands who are leading the way, basically, in this arena, are starting to be more proactive about accessibility. So that sets an example for the small and medium-sized businesses in the space to also follow suit. And as we discussed in a recent episode, the accessibility also helps to boost the SEO of your website. So a lot of the things that you would do to help make your website accessible are also going to help improve your search engine rankings and things like that, and increase the probability that the site will come up in search engines. So that's definitely something that anybody who's got a business and a website is going to be interested in doing, because they always want to expand their reach and get to as many people as they can. So there's lots of different reasons that clients might be coming to you asking for accessibility, maybe for the first time ever. You might have noticed that you have clients coming to you specifically asking for an accessible website. And those are some of the reasons that that's going to be really important to them. But then, well, I'll save that for later.
Yeah. I would maybe add on, most importantly of all, accessibility at the core is so that people, no matter their abilities, can go to your website and still access all the same content that anybody else can.
Yeah, if you're selling products or services, why would you want to cut out a portion of the population for such a silly reason? Because you didn't make your website accessible, right? Say you're going to reach more people just because more people are going to be actually able to use your website or your application if it's accessible. And a lot of times people think, well, that's just a small number, but in the US, it's 1 in 4 adults have a disability. So we're talking about a really significant proportion of the population. Globally, we're talking about 1.3 billion people. So it's not a little group. It's not a little edge case. We're talking about a pretty significant proportion of your business where you could increase your business 15 to 25%, depending on exactly what it is and who you're serving, by making sure that your website or your services are accessible.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you have glasses, you fall in that group. I mean, there's a spectrum. Like if your eyesight is really, really bad, or if your eyesight is really clear, you still fall under this group, and you could probably benefit from zooming in on your browser. It's the little things you just don't
And
realize all the time.
everybody's eyesight degrades as they get older also. So if you think people over 40, people over 50 are going to be interested in your product, then you should make sure that it's going to work for people who might have lower vision than, your average 20-year-old.
Yeah. So more and more demand is being seen in this space. And if you're a digital agency or a web agency making these digital spaces like websites or apps, you may have already gotten somebody asking you, what is this accessibility thing? How do I make my website accessible? I don't want to get sued. So what does that really mean for web agencies these days?
Yeah, so clients are going to probably, if they haven't already, they are probably going to be coming to you with questions. Hey, is this accessibility thing something I need to be worried about? Or they might already have decided, I want to make sure that my website is accessible, whether you're building a new website for them or you built a website for them in the past. They might come to you asking about that. Like, hey, that website you built for me last year, is that accessible? Because I have some concerns. I spend some time in some small business groups online, and I see people in there who have, random small businesses, little restaurants, little shops, little, hair salons, things like that. And they get these demand letters or these lawsuits saying their website's not accessible, and they're shocked. Like, they had no idea that this was something that they needed to be thinking about. And it leads to a lot of frustration, I think, which is understandable. Running a business is pretty hard work already, and then you have something coming at you out of the blue telling you you've done something wrong and you didn't even know. So clients are definitely going to have questions about it. And when a client is hiring you as a professional to build a website for them, they're trusting you to be the expert in what they need. And they're going to expect that you already know how to handle it, which is a little bit unfair because, as we also talked about in earlier episodes, web developers aren't taught accessibility for the most part in their curricula. Like, when they're learning how to be a web developer, that's not included, and it's unfair, and it's something that we have to change. But it does give them this impression, right, that this isn't something that's maybe a normal part of the job, when it absolutely is. So if you are a developer who is in that position, or you run a little agency, and you're in this position where clients are asking about this and you have no experience or knowledge, you have to start taking steps to get yourself and your team trained so that you're going to be able to take care of this, because it is very soon, I think, going to be just the way the work is done. Just like you wouldn't build a client a website that wasn't responsive in 2025. That just, nobody would do that anymore. 15 or 20 years ago, for sure. Yeah, like that wasn't even a thing. But now you wouldn't build something that wasn't responsive. You wouldn't build something that wasn't search engine optimized. And I think accessibility is going to be the same way. You wouldn't build a website unless it was accessible. It's just the way that it's done. So we need to stop treating it as this optional add-on that clients are going to opt into. We have to stop treating it as something we do at the end. And we'll talk a little bit about that in part 2 of the episode, and like how you integrate this into your services and do something that we call shift left. Like, how do you actually do that? And I think the other important point that I want to make sure I emphasize is, even for the clients who are coming to you for a project who don't explicitly ask about accessibility, you have to be the professional and be the one who advises them that that is something they need. They might not know to ask for it, but they absolutely need it because they don't want to expose their business to legal risk. They don't want to decrease their market that they're reaching by 15 to 25%, right? They don't want to exclude people unintentionally from their business. And they have no idea that this is something that they need to be thinking about, and you can be really helpful to them when you bring that up. And you're the one who proactively says, hey, we need to make sure this website is accessible, and here are all the reasons why, and here's what we need to be thinking about as we build this website. That will make you stand out among all the other agencies who aren't telling them about that.
Yeah. And even after you deliver the website, here's a checklist. So every time you post something new, we're not destroying our work here.
Yeah. That was actually one of my favorite parts of doing projects when I was still running my agency. Doing a little 1-hour training session. You have to make sure your link text is correct, and you have to make sure your images have alt text, and you can't put white text on a pale yellow background to let them know all of the different things that they might inadvertently do that would cause barriers on the site. So yeah, definitely a handoff training session if it's a situation where the client's going to be managing, posting their own blog post or updating their about page, or if they're going to be managing content on their own, they need to have some training in how to do that without introducing accessibility issues.
Yeah. Also wanted to touch on how you said this is becoming a risk for businesses, because I feel like whenever somebody puts something online, they don't realize the gravity of it. They're just oh, it's the Wild West, throw out anything online, it's not a big deal. But it's if somebody slips and falls inside your brick and mortar building, that's a risk. But it's the same thing for online businesses. And I feel like we're getting there, but we're not quite there. If somebody can't check out or if somebody can't complete a tax form, it kind of carries the same how do you say?
The same legal risk.
Yeah, it carries about the
Yeah.
same legal risk. So
Yeah, just like you wouldn't leave a puddle of water, right, standing on a floor, making it slippery in a store, because that's just waiting for something to happen. And I think having a website that's out in the world that's not accessible is kind of reflective of the same risk. And I think it even goes a little bit further because it's not just that you're incurring this legal risk, it's that you are actively excluding people from being able to use your service, right? Which you're harming their civil rights and their human rights of equal access to services and information. And I know that it's not something you're doing on purpose and you don't want to be doing it, but you don't even know. So I think it's really important that we keep talking about accessibility and keep informing clients about it and letting them know that this is something they need to be thinking about and something that they need to be engaging with an agency or a freelancer or a web developer who can take care of that and ensure that the website that they build is accessible.
yeah. I even like what you said with like even if a client doesn't know that they need this, you need to let them know. And it's just if you were to hire a house contractor, like somebody to build your house, and you're like, all right, build my house, and you build it without any pipes, without any AC, without anything, and then at the end you deliver it, and it's like, well, I didn't explicitly tell you to build the pipes, but I kind of expected you to.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't think I had to tell you I wanted electricity.
Yeah.
I thought you were just going to take care of that.
So it's like delivering a website that takes like 10 seconds to load the homepage is not responsive, is not accessible. It's like delivering a house without electricity, without pipes, without all the basic necessities that are kind of expected.
Yeah, the burden definitely cannot be on the client to request accessibility. It should be on the professional in the situation to inform the client that this is something they need. Yeah.
Alrighty, you guys. So that was part one of how digital agencies or web agencies can start to incorporate accessibility into their offerings. And starting off with just why is this important? Why should clients care? And why are clients already asking you for this? So, where can people go if they want to get started with this accessibility stuff, even before the next episode comes out?
Yeah. Well, you can come over to Aardvark Accessibility if you're agency owner, freelancer, web developer. You can create an account, add your homepage for free, scan it, start learning about accessibility. It's also a great tool if you want to track a development or staging site that you're building for a client, keep track of all those accessibility issues, or if you want to incorporate accessibility monitoring into your maintenance plans that you offer your customers, which makes them higher value, which means you could earn more money.
Yes, so go check out aardvarkaccessibility.com. And remember to subscribe and follow us for next week's episode, which is part two, and how to actually incorporate it into your services. So, thank you guys for watching. This is episode 35. We will talk to y'all later. And now, for you YouTube and LinkedIn viewers, we have our special segment where we collect our thumbnail pose. And this week we chose Smiling Cat.
I don't have the fangs either.
Yeah, we're missing whiskers, fangs, and ears, but we're gonna make this work. All right, so now you go ahead and go first.
Okay, so he's got the upside down eyes again, so he's smiling really big. Okay, showing all my teeth.
And now my turn. And with that, we're gonna